Hello and welcome to anybody and everybody who's listening to this little recording. My name is Dawn Campbell. I'm the Business Director at the International Authority for Professional Coaching and Mentoring, otherwise affectionately known as the IAPC&M. And today I'm joined by the very dynamic Aylin Webb. Good afternoon, Aylin.
Hello, Dawn. Thank you for having me here today.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Now, Aylin is one of our accredited practitioner coaches. She's also got her signature program accredited, which she turned into a book. And there's more books, but we'll talk about those in other sessions. So this is what I mean about her being very dynamic, because she's one of those coaches who's just taken the bull by the horns. And not only is she properly trained, insured and professionally accredited, she's got a book. So lots of ways to stand out in a very noisy digital space as an expert in her field. And her field is perfectionism. Tell us a little bit more about this, Aylin. How does this come about as a niche for you?
Well, it took me a while to realize that I have been beating myself up when I didn't do everything was not exactly as they should be. And I could spend time in the tiniest things and procrastinate a lot. So, for example, if I was writing a report, even when I was writing the book, that I found myself just walking away from it, doing everything else that I didn't need to do, and just putting off the task in hand. But just being aware that that is a part of perfectionism, that you have this fear of failure, you have this fear of judgment, that it's not going to be good enough. And when it is good enough and everyone tells you, wow, that's amazing, you're like, nah, anyone can do it. You know, so you dismiss all that hard work. So I realized that happens so much over and over again. My clients were coming to me, especially the professional in their professional lives, but also my clients who were housewives. They were such perfectionists that even the smallest thing that was not perfect, they would beat themselves up. So I did a lot of work over the years with perfectionism, without really thinking it is actually perfectionism, but it comes more as fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not fulfilling expectations of yourself, of others, and what you think of others are. So I started structuring this in a more strategic way, so to say. The things that worked, that did my clients go, you know what, actually I'm happy now, I'm fine now, what was I thinking? Yeah. So we started somewhere where they were really anxious, really distressed, and even depressed at times, and we took them through a journey of self-discovery, and then build up their confidence, because you lose your self-esteem, you have low self-esteem, and you lose your confidence in yourself with perfectionism, because you never reach those standards. They're not realistic. So, and took them to a place where they reclaimed their lives, and they were like, you know what, this is good, I like me, I'm good enough as I am. So so I put these things together, the strategies that have been working the best way for my clients, and I took those 8 strategies and decided to make that a program, because I know it works. We know it works. My clients know it works. Over and over and over again. So especially in professional life, people waste so much time, so much money and energy trying to perfect things, and it's such a waste for companies, such a waste for people, but also because of distress and anxiety, you've got a lot of lost time in sick days as well.
Yeah.
So I put that program together. It's working amazingly. So I then also put it, in a more structured way in a book. So, so, and then I decided to get that approved by IAPC&M, because it's the it's an official body, and that it is approved by the British industry, ombudsman. So so that would give me a lot more credit, and for my future clients to see, well, they can trust me. Not sure what happened there.
Don't worry, we'll keep recording, and
Okay.
I will ask Petra to
We'll
edit.
just edit that. Okay. That they can trust me, and they can trust the program, and they can always have a look at the testimonials as well on the website from previous clients who have reclaimed their happiness in their lives. So
I mean, it sounds like a very valuable program, because I mean, as a practicing Buddhist, something that we talk about a lot is comparisons, and not creating more suffering for ourselves. So I'm guessing that's the sort of similarities between perfectionism and comparing yourself to other people. It just causes a huge amount of suffering, both personally and professionally. Is perfectionism, in your opinion, Aylin, a replacement for what I used to think of, in, as I'm a lot older than you, was imposter syndrome? Or are they still both, things today?
No, they're definitely both valid, but imposter syndrome is part of that perfectionism. So so in one area, so to say, you could be perfectionist in the way that you think you should look like, for example, about your body image. You could be perfectionist about how you think, or how others would expect your home to look like, or your performance at work. However, the imposter syndrome is, which I've got a book in the pipeline coming out. Oh, sorry, that's my husband's phone. I'm in the middle of an interview. Sorry, John. I have my husband's phone because mine is broken and it started ringing. Apologies. Right. So imposter syndrome is more about, you get to the places maybe that you always dreamt about being, a manager or a CEO, and when you get there, or maybe higher position, when you get there, you feel that you don't deserve to be there, and that it was just a coincidence, and just pure luck, not hard work, but pure luck that brought you there. And anytime you will be found out. Anytime now, they'll find out and tell you to leave, pack your bags and leave. So I've got a book coming out about that as well. It's it's finished, but just needs
so that's an element of the perfectionism. And I guess I haven't heard it much since I left the corporate world, because in the corporate world it was very prevalent, and I've been working for myself for 20 years, so maybe that's why I've thought it just sort of disappeared into the background, but it's obviously still alive and well and thriving.
Yes.
Okay, so your book, and I have to say to anybody and everybody who's listening that Aylin actually went on my writing course that I do with Ruby Maguire on how to write and finish your book. So 90 pages in 90 days. And Aylin is one of our authors from the first cohort who actually just flew through the course and got her book finished on time, got her certificate from an accredited course, and has enjoyed a transformation in your business this year, haven't you? You know, I can
Yeah,
see that from this
absolutely.
slide. You've got the book, you've got the app, you've got the website, you've got an accredited signature program. You are on fire, woman.
Well, yes, I am. I really am. And I love it. I love passing on, you know, on the message. I love just communicating this to people that can help them have a happier life. So it's important for me. The message is important for me. The books, the apps, the you know, the programs is just one way of passing that on, but it's the message that I want to share with others that really is important for me.
I know from talks that we've had in the past, some of this perfectionism is quite cultural, isn't it? So what would you like to say about that, Aylin?
Yes, and I see as well that for example, in certain cultures, it's a lot about how you keep your home. Yeah, that's the most important thing as a woman, for example. So there is also, you know, there's also the gender thing going on here. Imposter syndrome that you mentioned, women in a higher level of management seem to suffer more from that, the research shows, than men, for example, which is really interesting. So when you get a new job or a new promotion, it's okay to feel like that for a bit, but it usually goes away. However, it seems that with women in higher management roles, it takes a lot longer than for men. And yes, I think that that culturally, when we are quite comfortable with our lives, yeah, because, for example, in the UK, in the Western cultures, we have more time to think about how to perfect things. So with more success at work and better cars and bigger houses and, you know, the perfect family life and so on, where in Africa, that might be a completely different level. Yeah, that you're not looking for a fast car. That's not even in your, you know, in your mind at all for today. You're looking for how to get your water. So yes, culturally, there's huge difference between where you know, the geographically where we are, and in the Eastern cultures, I find that there's a lot with women about how they should be, how they should cook, how clean their house should be, and how they fear the judgments would be if it isn't. And there is that people seem to be talking a lot more about each other than we do in the Western cultures, about how you're dressed, how your house is, and how you cook, and so on. Yes, it does change the perception, but what it does is not different. It's still, you know, as far as the thoughts, emotions are concerned, the basis, the content changes, but the process is the same. What it does to you in your mind, in your heart, in your emotions, in your behavior, it's very similar.
And I think from a cultural point of view, this is where it all stemmed from for you, being, I can't remember if you're Turkish or half Turkish, brought up in Turkey.
I'm fully Turkish.
You're fully Turkish. I remember you saying
I
on the writing course that it was a cultural thing. So you've got first-hand experience of not only experiencing this, but also coming through the other side and realizing perfectionism just doesn't exist.
No, I mean, I think that my first-hand experience was more about, you know, from my mom, those high expectations that she puts upon herself, and as a child you think that's normal, and then you try to make up to that as well as she does. But now I can actually watch it happening as well, and you know, now she's also more able to let go too.
And how did you break the cycle? Because I know you've got grown-up children who have recently got married or had babies. how did you know that you had come through it and protected the daughters by breaking the cycle?
Well, to be honest with you, I sometimes do wonder whether it has affected my daughter, because she also always constantly striving for better and better and better. However, I think that when you accept yourself and start loving yourself, it took me 40 years to accept and love myself as I am. And that's why I really appreciate myself. I thought it has taken me so long to see this. And self-acceptance, self-compassion, looking into your values and what really matters, looking at the bigger picture, looking at what you have rather than what you don't have, has made a lot of difference for me. So I think, you know, when we study psychology, psychotherapy, coaching, we also get a lot of reflection. We look a lot into ourselves, don't we? So
yeah, we become our own best clients.
That has really helped me get out of the cycle, break the cycle, definitely. Especially, I think, with CBT, with cognitive behavioral therapy, when I was doing the postgraduate, I was like, oh, that's what's going on. I shouldn't take everything I think seriously. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, like you, it's taken decades to get to this stage, and I'm guessing your book and all the support and your coaching practice at Mind and Mood, it's about giving younger generations a bit of a hack. You know, save yourself the time, the money, the energy, the angst, to, you know, realize all of these wisdoms when you're 50s and 60s. Do it now. So that's what they're going to get from working with you sooner rather than later, isn't it?
Exactly. And also, I mean, people, even when they come to me at their 40s and their 50s, wherever we can turn the things around, we can create that happier future. So rather than they come to their 60s and 70s and go, oh, what did I do with my life? Yeah, we can still save that from their 50s. So anytime is a good time. Anytime is a good time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now is the right time. And if not now, when? If you're not happy, you know, if you recognize that you've got perfectionist tendencies, an unrealistic work ethic, that you're living up to perhaps something that your parents held as a high value that perhaps isn't serving you well, then now is the time for you to contact a coach like Aylin, who's properly trained, insured, professionally and independently accredited, has a book and has a huge amount of resource and books in the pipeline. So obviously people can find you on the International Authority Professional directory.
Yeah.
Where else can they find you, Aylin?
Oh, everywhere. They can find me on coaching directory. They can find me on counseling directory. They can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me on my website, mindandmood.co.uk. They can find me on Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, psychology tools.
All over.
Yeah, Psychology Today. Yeah, or just Google Aylin Webb and they can find me. But you know, I just find with the age there are different things that people that are causing people anxiety, and the younger generation, it's more about being socially accepted, and being the perfect, you know, acting the perfect way so that other people, I can have friends and that other people will accept me, seem to be a bigger problem at a younger age, where later on it's more about being the perfect partner, you know, being able to find the perfect partner as well, and then having the perfect family, you know, as you go through the decades. The pressure we put upon ourselves seem to be shifting. So
Mm.
it's really getting to the core of that. What does that
Yeah.
mean about you?
Yeah.
What is going on in the core of it?
Yeah.
So that, you know, what's fear of failure about? What's fear of judgment about? Who's judging who? What's happening in your core beliefs? So that we can actually work on shifting the core beliefs, whatever the cause might be.
Well, perhaps it's a timely quote to end on, when the Dalai Lama said, you know, in the 21st century, we have never had so much and yet been so unhappy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can
true.
understand why you're a busy lady and in demand, because we've never had so much choice, so much stuff, and yet we lack a sense of purpose. We're unhappy. We don't know what's driving us, and we're comparing ourselves, which is, you know, largely to do with the media and social media.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing an insight into your world and why you created this wonderful signature program, why you wrote the book and created an app. I can tell that you're on a mission, you know, to help as many people around the world. And of course, as you know, people that you help have children, they're going to break that cycle. So this is a wonderful legacy for
Ripple
you,
effect.
Aylin, creating the ripple effect. Yeah, well done. I take my hat off to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, Dawn. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I look forward to hearing even more in the future.
Oh, you will.
I'm sure. I know it.